The last few Kias we've driven on RPM are proof that this is a brand on its way up. There's the Sportage, a car that's so popular it now comes standard with a 6-week waiting list. Then there's the Cerato range. The coupe offers something different, the sedan is surprisingly good, and now there's the third member, the Cerato hatch. It's fighting in the C segment of the market, and I say fighting because it's up against the masters of the hatchback segment like the VW Golf, Toyota Auris and the recently introduced Opel Astra. All very good cars in their own right. But Kia is no longer there just to make up the numbers, and you only have to look at the cars they've produced lately to realize that. Admittedly, they've had some help from a German who used to work for Audi, but he's taken that generic Asian look and turned it into something unique. Now, being a hatch, as you'd expect, all the changes are at the back, but in doing those changes, they've achieved something rather special. I say that because not only does the rear look good, it fits in with the car as a whole. In a lot of cases, a car that's designed as a sedan and then has its boot chopped off just ends up looking a little incoherent, and the same thing can be said when a hatch has its boot extended. All three Cerato models, the coupe, the sedan, and now this car, are blessed with decent looks. The rear of the hatch carries off a bold sort of look without being too heavy. It's all nicely proportioned and tidy. This is the 2-litre SX version that gets 17-inch alloys as standard. The lesser 1.6 gets 16-inch wheels. This is the 2-litre 4-cylinder with 115 kilowatts and 194 newton meters. It'll get from 0 to 100 in 9.1 seconds and on to a top speed of 190. Now, those aren't massively impressive figures. You get more kilowatts but less torque in a Toyota Auris, for example. And while Kia have kept up with international styling trends, they haven't kept up with international engine trends. That trend is low capacity, high output, a la VW's Golf TSI, a 1.4 turbo with more power and torque than this hatch's motor. And if you aren't all about power, the German engine also has better claimed fuel consumption and CO2 figures. Be that as it may, the engine that this car packs is decent enough. Although it does take a bit of getting used to. This car's got a rather sensitive accelerator, which means you have to learn a bit of technique to ensure a smooth pull-off. There's lots of low-down torque, which is good for city driving, but on the open road it could definitely do with a bit more mid-range punch. Not entirely flexible, this engine, and you'll find yourself dropping a gear to execute an overtaking move on the highway. Above 3,500 RPM, there's not much happening. It makes a noise, the speedo does move, but it's all very mediocre. There's fun to be had in the corners, though. Changing the back of the car has given it a bit of character, and you now get a feel for what's going on at the rear. And you don't have to be driving like you're on fire either. You just always have a sense of what the car's doing, and that helps smooth over the engine's shortcomings. The ride is a little on the firm side, which makes the Cerato hatch susceptible to our less than perfect roads. But with a decent feel of the 6-speed manual, steering that's just right and wrapped up in an interior like this, things are going to be comfortable more often than not. Kia have found a recipe for their interiors and they're sticking to it. And that means no matter which of their cars you get into, you're likely to find the same mix of things like red illumination, gloss black plastic, the same steering wheel, and the same spec level, which in this SX version is rather good. Park distance control, cruise control, climate control, a place to plug in your iPod and comfortable leather seats. All of it finished off with a sense of quality and an idea that your 206,000 Rand was well spent. space is good in front and in the back, and the boot is a usable size too. The Cerato hatch isn't perfect, but it doesn't cut corners either. It's got good looks, good spec, and a decent drive. There's no doubt that Kia does have a mountain to climb when taking on the established players in this market, but with cars like that, they're doing it in the right way. A 2-litre power plant and 6-speed gearbox deliver decent dynamics for this good-looking, competent hatchback. The shape continues Kia's progressive styling approach, while the list of standard kit is comprehensive. However, the engine could do with more mid-range punch.